real test for them because that's a big game in this state.
Chance to rack up some wins and settle into their season. Josh Scott back to Wesley. The Buffs have the first possession with Dom Collier.
Portland opens in man, which one might expect, although you will see switching defenses from the University of Portland.
Here is King. Coming off the healthy red shirt. He feeds the post. Wesley Gordon up against Gabe Taylor, who's only 6'8". Rolls off on him. Rebound pulled by Moreno. Entering in Presley. Two talented guards in the West Coast Conference, where the Pilots are picked 5th this year. Moreno.
Oh, so they get one inside versus Colorado not getting one. Notice Colorado did not bring help where Portland did, and that's going to be one of the keys.
Moreno is a junior from Chihuahua, Mexico, his first year in Portland. Josh Scott has worked hard on this portion of his game, popping out to the perimeter and either firing or putting it on the deck. How about your CU Lexus keys to the game?
Well, establish the inside game if you're Colorado and try to use the home court advantage. Tad's always done a great job of altitude and coming after you early with altitude. There's that high post dish, boom, inside. Of course, for Portland, they got to try to break even on the boards, try to get off to a good, healthy start.
Give the assist to Josh Scott. Josh Fortune with his first bucket in this building. Collier reaches in for the foul on Wintry.
There you're starting to see there's the dunk, a nice feed from high to low on a double team at the post. You've already seen some result of the calls where there's been contact on people going to the basket, misdirecting, redirecting a cutter, 2 early fouls, and Josh Scott took Moreno away from the basket, and I don't think Moreno can do that.
Take a closer look at those Lexus keys to the game for the Portland Pilots. Rebounding, you already mentioned.
Well, and I don't think that they can play inside with Colorado for 40 minutes. I think they're going to have to shoot the 3-ball.
They do fire quite a few, and Colorado has hung its hat on its 3-point field goal defense for so many years. Last year, an anomaly. We had plenty of emphasis, certainly in 2015-16.
There's something we're going to see a lot of. When Josh Scott touches the ball, he's going to get a double and draw a third guy even in some cases. He's going to have to come out of there effectively.
Possession of zone here for Portland. It's got the shot clock in single digits. George King. Welcome back to Boulder. The throw ahead, Taylor deflected in transition by Fortune.
Yeah, and Portland's not going to be afraid to run the floor, even though they're the ones at altitude. They're going to try to get up and down to negate Colorado's size a little bit.
But you mentioned it, at many points through 2 games, 41 as his entire freshman season in 27 outings.
So he's a big, strong, impressive-looking guy. If he can keep this up, Colorado's really going to be tough. And Colorado can go three deep at that position, so he's not even a guaranteed starter.
Collier passes on the 3 to put one softly off the glass. Gordon's on the offensive boards. And before he threw it off the backside of the board, he was fouled.
So Colorado gets penetration. Portland does a great job of weak side help defense. Reverend knows what he's doing. But that opens up the glass for second shot opportunities.
Jason Todd, the sophomore from Middle Creek, Washington, with his first personal foul.
Portland, good job on the inline out-of-bounds defense, JB, and they worked on that quite a bit today. Really working on what Colorado likes to do from a 1-4 low set.
Philip Hartwich, who grew an inch in the offseason, as I updated my roster year to year, I noticed he's now 7'1".
Tried to lose last year's record.
He begins his sophomore season. Reveno's still looking for the answer up front, just rotating spacing pieces, seeing whose strengths are what. Collier got ahead of himself there, first to you.
And line out, if they go zones, you'll see that consistency to protect the pass, pushing from outside. If it works, then the zone is going in.
So here is Alex Wintry, the assist leader, but even after the all that conference, one player there on that roster. Whistle waits basketball. We'll go with Josh Fortune.
Back to that cutter. I thought there.
Shot on Todd and on ball takes with Hartwich. Josh hand up. Collier keeping his way through traffic. Hey, Brady. King. Just one more time into his freshman season, he had 4 made threes that year. He's got 9 through parts of 3 games, and he leads the break. George King off to a fast start.
Boy, he's pretty impressive early on. He's had 2 really strong drives to the basket and gets a little bit of luck on the 3, let's be honest, to hit the rim 4 different places before it went in. But when you're hot, you're hot. You know, go for it. Early on, he's doing well. Nice looking stroke, good release. Touches once, touches twice, 3 times, comes back in the hole.
Monty,
soft touch.
What does it say to you that this now redshirt sophomore embraced the idea, which he and Tad both resisted at times, of taking a healthy redshirt, but taking a 5-year outlook on his college career and getting his shots up to improve certain parts of his game?
Well, it's pretty impressive, really. You know, I think what it says is he's probably thinking in terms of a terminal degree here and graduating, which I wish more kids thought that way. But look at what's happened in the off year. Look how good he is now. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're good enough to go after 4, fine, but take the time to improve and grow up and mature.
The crowd hooting a little bit there. They wanted a backcourt violation, but remember, all 3 points have to be across the line, the midcourt line, before a backcourt violation comes into effect.
Both feet and the ball have to be across half court. A little bit of a surprise, caught Portland off guard there, coming off a free throw, going to a 3/4 court, kind of a soft Hester press. But their trapping areas were really sound, right at half court.
Josh Scott has worked really hard at that point of his game.
And Eric Reveneau said he was going to give up that shot early to see if Josh Scott can make that. And sure enough, it looked pretty good.
Scott's coming off 24 at Auburn after a rough shooting start against Iowa State this season. That's DeMarcus Tyson, who had one of the better pilot performances in a loss at UC Davis with 15 points.
And just what the Pilots needed right there, down 11-3 to get a 3 off the bench, give them a little life.
They've been pretty good from 3-point range so far this season, better than 40%. Looking to go high-low as Gordon wanted to set up Scott, Hartwich most likely the recipient of a foul, indeed.
Yeah, they're going to try to go high-low here, and Scott's got him on his back a little bit. Whether Scott's shooting the perimeter shot right there, they're going to work that high-low a lot. I think you'll see a lot of that from Colorado.
Fortune able to get out of that double. A new shot clock for the Buffs to work with. And again off the inbound, Portland settles into his zone.
There
Scott from the elbow, 2 for 2.
Looks pretty good right there. I mean, he's big, he's got really long arms, but he's not a monster at the post.
This is Jarrell Marshall, another junior college transfer.
Coach Reb said he would go maybe 10, 12 deep off the bench, just trying to find some answers early in the season.
A dozen left to shoot for Alec Wintering. Marshall puts it down, a hand-checking foul on Wesley Gordon. And so that sends us to our first break. A good shooting start for both sides. Portland hasn't missed yet. CU at 71% from the floor. More about itself through 1 week than Colorado.
Well, you use the word learn more about themselves, but I don't think anybody's had a tougher schedule, JB. They go to play Iowa State, who's early season ranked 7th in the country. They play in Sioux Falls, Iowa, which they say is a neutral, but there's about 14,000 Iowa State people there. So, and then Auburn on the road. Good early season test, and Colorado did a great job.
Now that being said, when we spoke with Tad Boyle today, he was beaming. He likes this team so much.
Yes, he does. He likes the chemistry of the thing, and he's got talent. You know, they're picked 7th, but I think he could really surprise some people.
DeMarcus Tyson with the basketball. Marshall in the backcourt with him for Portland. They still have not missed a field goal. Only problem is they've shot 2.
4 turnovers too many on the road. Got to take care of the basketball for sure.
Tyson takes the on-ball, pulls over Xavier Talton, who's into the contest for the first time. Ray Moreno has a couple of buckets, this one off the offensive glass.
Well, he looked pretty solid in there. Big, long arms rebounding the ball over Colorado's big men.
Don Collier running the point, and here is Trayshawn Fletcher, who is part of that, what would you say, 3-man / 6-man rotation. We'll talk more about that and the dilemma ahead of Tad Boyle. But first, a look at the Reese's Perfect Combination, which gives us a flavor of that come-from-behind win at Auburn. George King and Josh Scott, the leading scorers.
Well, you get 51 points from 2 players on the road in a Southeast Conference environment. That's pretty impressive.
Scott with the catch off the inbound, immediately doubled. Able to see over the top of it. Thomas Akizili into the lineup for the first time, making his Coors Event Center debut. Freshman from Belgium. Fletcher, lefty three.
Wow.
All right, so here's the dilemma for Tad Boyle. Fletcher, King, and Fortune all deserve minutes. Who's the sixth man?
Well, they'll get minutes. The question is, it's not a dilemma if guys will buy in. If guys don't like the role, then it can be a problem, but it's a nice problem to have if you're Tad Boyle. If they buy in, if it's team, that's three really solid players.
Just his nights to be the sixth man. Tad Boyle said about Trayshawn Fletcher because King and Fortune have each had their turns coming off the bench.
And he doesn't want to base it on offense. He wants to base it on effort, defense, boards, the intangible things, which is smart.
Watch out here. Bryce Presley is their leading scorer, and he can downright stroke it. 56% from behind the arc.
Both teams been pretty impressive shooting the ball when they've been open, coming out of traps. Both teams trying to surprise with traps.
Fletcher again, same spot, same results.
Why not?
Fletcher with the Colorado 1, 2, 3.
Buffs hitting on 6 of their first 8 attempts from the floor. Catch and shoot, Presley again. Rebounding foul on Trayshawn Fletcher. The Pilots have been able to get to the offensive boards.
Yeah, they have. Of course, Colorado was doubling on balls. Nice left-hand stroke right there, coming back, finding the open guy, and Fletcher was ready to shoot. Colorado was actually trapping what we used to call a fire or red on-ball screens, and Portland's done a nice job of coming out and finding the open man. See if Colorado continues to double on the on-balls.
Here comes another. Moreno sets it. This one they let go. And Jazz Johnson, a freshman they're really excited about, is blocked.
Colorado's got some shot blockers inside. Long arm guys that wait, try to get it after it is released. Thought Fletcher might pull right there.
And Torrey Miller taking Josh Scott's spot
call
on the
right
floor.
there. Yeah, he saw that. It's a good call. As it goes inside, look at him stay away and block it high off the glass after it's been released.
See their Twin Towers inside with the block totals from last season. The blocking shots is not typically something Tad Boyle measures defense by. He wants to know defensive field goal percentage more than anything, but they'll take them.
Create some opportunity for your perimeter players to know you got a guy behind. There's a, ooh, that's got to be a foul. And you notice the official waited a little bit there to make that call. You're going to see more and more of that. A lot of times the official's not going to want to call ticky-tack contact. They're going to want to see if the ball goes in, and if it does, they might leave it go. But Wintering didn't really have much of a chance there.
Wintering just 5'11", out of Charlotte, North Carolina, where he was coached by United Faith Christian Academy's Muggsy Bogue at just 5'3", so he got a good tutelage. Yes,
He just towered over.
but if he's going to be an undersized guard, who better to learn from?
No question. Probably worked on his post-up game.
7 minutes in, and he connects on the second at the free throw line. So Colorado +6, 13 to go here in the first half. Thomas Akizili, the freshman from Belgium, brings it up. He's played 20 minutes across CU's first couple of games, 1 of 4 from the floor.
International player, true freshman coming in and playing.
Just a little careless with the passing in the half court for CU. Wintering gets out again and gets back to the free throw line.
Yeah, that's 3 turnovers in a row, careless up top, so not real confident with the ball. That's not Tad Boyle type basketball right there.
9 combined turnovers between the two teams. Akizili, as you saw there, takes the foul.
Wintering, good guards make free throws. I mean, good guards get fouled a lot because they're quicker, they get to seams, and they make free throws. Some of my best basketball teams had guards who were 90+. And Bill, when you fouled us late in the game, it was over. Brevin Knight being notable among with Deion Cross.
Yeah, strangely, Portland has struggled from the line through 2 games at 52%. Much better here tonight.
The right guys are shooting them, you generally don't have a problem. Portland doing a nice job defensively. I'm not sure that well as I say that. Oh, that was a nice shot.
Torrey Miller, according to Tad Boyle, is Colorado's most improved player, not only with his body, but with his mindset. Wintering stepping back. Miller got a hand on it. Still a scramble for the loose ball rebound. And Akizili takes care of it.
Colorado typically runs an early offense. It's very specific.
That tie-up is going to give it back to the Pilots.
That's not a good take right there up top. There's really no place to go right there. Mid-range game in college basketball is lost. He should have stopped, pulled up, and just knocked it down. No place to go to the basket. Here you go. He's driving 3 people right there. Bryce Presley does a nice job of staying away and just finding the basketball.
Well, Presley has played as many minutes in this barn as Akizili has. A freshman against senior there, and the experience level at the Division I basketball level exhibited. Indeed. On Philip Hartwich. That'll be his second personal.
Emphasis on cleaning up the game this year, try to make it less physical, but you can predict the calls that are going to be made. That was one that was pretty obvious.
We take our under 12 timeout here with the Buffs in front, 21-15. This is here with the Buffs, and Mike, I can tell from your conversations with Tad, your former peer, that he's one of the coaches that you really respect in the Pac-12.
He's one of the good guys. He really is. He's a quality person, got a great family guy. Wife Ann's a great gal. She can really macarena. Well, not so good, but you know, Tad's one of the good guys. Good coach, solid person. I really like him. Respect the job he does.
And Colorado fans, Mike Montgomery is taking up residence here in Boulder. He'll be calling your next 2 games after tonight as well. I think Boyle Montgomery would make a good ticket for political office here in Colorado.
Let's not get into politics, JB.
Good ball rotation. Akizili off the mark. Rebound brought down by the junior Jarrell Marshall for Portland.
Portland has played 11 players already in this game in the first 8 minutes.
Here's another one of them, Rashad Jackson, a freshman in the far corner. He gets it from Jason Todd. Sets the on ball, 13 to shoot. Talton defending Wintering here. Calls for the on ball from Colin Russell. Now working on Josh Scott. King in the passing lane has a steal. Running with Trayshawn Fletcher. King takes it himself. Last touch by Colorado. The C unit right there on the baseline did not approve.
You're seeing some really nice defensive sequences out here. They're subtle, even though people are shooting well. People jumping to passing lanes, showing and getting off, helping from the weak side. It's pretty impressive early on. Both these teams obviously well coached.
The only thing to pick at would be the combined 11 turnovers between the 2 teams. The only reason it's not an even higher scoring game to this stage.
Yeah, but I think that's due to defense just kind of doing the right things and causing some real problems.
Tyson turns around in the key. How about King?
Man, he's pretty impressive.
Didn't just put shots up, he put some weights up in that year off as well.
He's a good guy. He's got what I would say and call a pro body. Nice broad shoulders.
Fortune from the top. Transfer from Providence, rattles out. Wintering on the move. Portland really trying to get out and go. King got the deflection and out of bounds to Portland.
You notice the defenders a lot of times turn their heads to their man and their guy leaves, and then that's where they're found. Both these teams do a pretty good job of staying home and staying in passing lanes. That's why you're seeing the deflections that you're seeing.
Marcus Tyson skip past Wintering, touch pass Marshall. Okay then.
Well, the bank's open. Kind of got a funny look on his face too. Missed it so bad it went right in. It's like golf. There's no video on the scorecard, is there, JB?
Well, as our producer Scott Farrer points out too, when you play golf at altitude, you get a little bit more on your drive, maybe a little bit more on your 3-point jump shot.
See, there's contact right there. Ooh, he called the carry. You don't see that very often.
The 6th turnover on Colorado.
No matter how it happens, that's a nice kickback right there. We talked early on about how the 3-ball is going to be what Portland's going to have to do to stay in this game. And look up, don't look now. It's a 3-point ball game.
Marshall's going to be a good player for them. Has been limited with an ankle injury, but looks to be fit this evening. Moreno sets the on ball and rolls. Here's Marshall this time passing on the 3. Todd will take it. Wintering gets a second chance. Tyson pops out to the 3-point line.
There's another one. Tie ball game. Colorado's got a little cold from the perimeter. Portland's going to gain confidence, JB, the longer they're able to do this.
A long run at the 1 for Akizili. Belgian point guard with Fletcher. King wants to back down Todd. baseline fadeaway. You said he's got a pro body. That was a professional shot.
It was, but I'm not sure that's what Coach Boyle wants right there.
Tyson, heat check.
You're not going to miss that.
Portland takes the lead.
Yeah. We want to see a timeout coming here pretty soon if this doesn't turn around. I wonder what Collier is, what the problem at the point guard. I'm not as comfortable with the continuity with Ezeli out there at the point. Colorado's offense.
I felt like that was Josh Scott's first touch in a long time, didn't it? Even though he didn't directly create the assist, just the touch gets Colorado in a better
The
place.
hockey assist, the pass, it leads to the pass, and the ball was moved very smartly right there. That's where Wintering helps him so much.
Drives and kicks, sets up another three. Rolls off the rim on DeMarcus Tyson. Fortune leading the break.
There you go. That's a nice take right there. Just ran right up the back of his man. It wasn't really a screen, but his defender wasn't able to get through. Just when we talked about maybe a timeout needed, Tad was able to stay the course, and they look like they've got a little more life. Ezeli getting a lot of time out there at that point guard position.
Wintering picks up the foul. It's the 7th on Portland. Both teams in the bonus for the final 8 minutes and 15 seconds. This will be a two-shot foul.
Trouble that I can see right now. Don't know if Dominic Collier has two or not.
Collier has one.
Okay, well.
Gordon is the only player with Colorado with 2 fouls, and he actually checks back in, as you see.
Just 5 minutes on the game so far for their starting point guard.
King will get a rest. 7 of Colorado's 24 points.
This is where Fortune off the bench, the three-way rotation with Fletcher, Fortune, and King. Pretty nice players.
Collier is back in, and I'll just say Trayshawn Fletcher guarding the ball here is 3 for 3 from behind the arc in that quote-unquote 6th-man role tonight. So that could be a positive development for Colorado.
But as Coach Boyle mentioned, he's looking at defense. That's a travel, I think. Yeah.
Presley turns it over. 8th turnover for Portland, and see you after coughing up the lead on the three. Buffs looking to win their 8th consecutive home opener. Here at the Coors Event Center, they are 1-1 on the season. So too are the Portland Pilots, founded in 1901, an enrollment of just over 4,000. They are picked 5th in the West Coast Conference this year. Eric Spoelstra among their notable alumni. I must admit, I am among the few who never got on the Big Bang Theory bandwagon, Mike, so you'll have to comment.
So you're not really familiar there with it? Help
me with that pronunciation there.
Munal Nayar?
Megan, I know. She was terrific, and we appreciate her efforts winning the World Cup for Team USA this summer.
Portland, a very nice little private Jesuit school up north on the river up there in Portland.
Josh Scott off the block, working against Moreno. Now between 3 defenders, pushes it out to Collier. Fortune, a clean 3. Good block out by Gabe Taylor. Presley down the floor for the Pilots. Moreno calling for it against Scott's offensive foul.
First bang they called, you know, Josh Scott went down. In the past, sometimes if you didn't go down, you wouldn't get that call. But that was pretty substantial. That was pretty obvious right there. That's 2 on Scott. It's not Scott, excuse me.
Moreno.
2 on Moreno. Smart play by Scott, but as a senior, Scott should make those plays. He's a smart player.
Colin Russell comes to get Moreno with those 2 fouls. They're playing through Josh Scott at the elbow quite a bit. You see he pops the catch there again on the floor.
Reason being is they are doubling Scott low, and they're not doing a real good job of coming out and staying in with offensive continuity. And Tad Boyle said he would do that when people started playing that way, that they would play through Scott at the elbow.
Collier trying to turn the corner, went with the right-handed scoop, and earns a trip to the line.
Going to call that on a shooter. They call that rerouting, and I'm not sure how it affected the shot much. It really wasn't a great shot percentage-wise, but he gets a foul call, gets to go to the line.
Well, Tad Boyle said of Dom Collier, this is a big year for his sophomore guard because he thinks the greatest strides a player makes is from freshman to sophomore year. Mike, in your career, is that something you found to be true?
Well, freshman year is tough unless you're one of those phenoms coming in. Freshman year, you're learning. You typically have a guy at that position ahead of you, so you learn and you take your lumps. In sophomore years, when you start to come into your own, you mature, school becomes easier for you. The whole thing is easier. Here's that half-court trap coming out of a free throw situation, and they created a turnover. So spacing not real good for Portland right here, anticipating that half-court trap. You got to have a side middle turn pass to be able to come out of there.
If you told Eric Revenue his team would turn it over 10 times in the first 13 minutes and be within a possession, I don't think he would have believed his pregame.
No, there's no question. Sloppy pass right there, pocket pass that just gets deflected.
Marshall spins out of it. Here's Jazz Johnson, an Oregon native. He misses his first couple, gets a clean three instead. And a rebound comes out to Kenan Guzanic,
who again, Coach Boyle said he's going to try to get him some time.
Collier back iron.
A little too much messing around with the ball out there. Too much one-on-one.
Wintering losing his balance, but keeping possession. Guzanic against Marshall, who took the contact, could not convert.
Guzanic, again, a sophomore who they're going to try to develop some more minutes in the fourth big man role. Big, strong kid. Probably is a European player. He's played JC here, but probably as a European player has a different game.
Marshall hits the first. Let's take a look at the Jared upcoming schedule for the Colorado Buffaloes. 9 straight games in state beginning tonight, including 8 true home dates.
Yeah, and they had their early tests on the road. The sad thing is these next 3 games, or these 3 games, the students are going to be gone because it's a kind of a fall break for them. It creates a different enthusiastic situation here where the Buffs have a great home crowd typically.
They're at the C units. Well, diminished, but certainly not depleted tonight.
No.
2 away games to start a season for Colorado for the first time since 2003, and they split them.
You don't see that very often from what you would call the Power 5 conferences going on the road early. One was a neutral, sort of.
Guzanic with 5 to shoot. Got a crease, got it blocked. 3 left for the Buffs.
Yeah, I think now you're seeing Coach Revenue. You're probably going to see a man-to-man matchup with 3 seconds right here. They don't need to trap, but they're going to need to stay tough man out of man.
Comes into Talton, drew iron. Fortune got it on the offensive boards. A foul on Jarrell Marshall on the way back up.
Mike Reed, who makes the call, see that Coach Revenue is upset. In a veteran move, he goes over. Maybe going to talk to him a little bit. I don't know. Didn't go over. Coach Rev, a real competitor. You explain it to the referee, he agrees with you, and the call still stands, unfortunately. Maybe you get one down the road another time.
Fortune missed his first 2 free throws of the night, gets both on that trip.
There's a half-court trap handled better by Portland that time.
Collier got his hand in there, tough spot for Marshall, able to find Wintering. A look opposite Tyson, got it.
Free ball keeping Portland in this ball game. It is still tied with 5 to go. They've come out of those traps really nicely, JB, and found the open guy.
6 of 11 from behind the arc. Collier working against the veteran guard Wintering.
Wintering's quick. Rev said that they would not have a problem.
Oh, Tari Miller!
Big, strong man, Tory Miller. Remember him in high school. That's not a good shot.
High school in Kansas City, Mike?
Yes, sir. Played with David Kravish, who played for us at Cal. We watched him early on. He shed some weight, looks much stronger, been in the weight room.
Same AAU team as Don Collier, so they go back to their youth days as well. And you're right about the weight. He came in, I think, at 257, then down to 240, and then with some muscle back to about 255 on the current.
Yeah, weight is constructed differently, as at least I know. You probably don't know yet, JB, but it starts shifting around. When you're young, it moves up into the right spots. When you're old, it starts moving to spots you don't want it.
We call it the Pac-12, as in when basketball season starts, you put on
young guys have 6 packs, and old guys you have Pac-12.
And tonight we're at the Keg, the Coors Event Center, for the home opener for CU. And Tad Boyle bemoaning the turnovers for the time being.
Just not good decisions. Pressure's doing it. Smart defensive play, creating bad passing angles, putting people in tough spots. There is no closely guarded 5 count anymore, though, so you can hang on to the ball. You don't have to get it out of those tough situations. But that's an illegal screen right there. You know they're going to call that. Even if there wasn't a lot of contact, and he goes down off of that screen. I mean, the kids are going to have to learn, the coaches are going to have to learn to coach it, because officials have been told what to call. So far, from what I've seen, they're sticking with it.
First on Tory Miller, 9th on the bus. Chance for Portland to tie or take the lead at the 4-minute mark, opening half. Tyson curling off the down screen, swatted by Fortune. Josh Fortune breaking out. He goes end to end.
Nice job of keeping body contact right there to get to the basket. Little mini run from Colorado right here. Media timeout call coming up here, so Red will try to weather it to get down to the media timeout, although both have a mandatory timeout that they haven't used yet.
Gabe Taylor with a dozen to shoot. Again, it's Fortune shooting the gap. Comes away with the steal. Has Talton, who gives it back. Josh Fortune with the left.
Portland remiss not recovering down the floor, assuming a make and not getting down and picking up the garbage there.
He's got another! 3 in a row for Fortune. 3 on 1 break. And maybe his first poor decision in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, he should have taken that one, trying to be unselfish. So the media timeout's going to bail Portland out right here.
9 points for Fortune. Back-to-back time report. Katie Boggs will guide us through it. Utah is in Puerto Rico, and they were down at the half to Miami. Let's see if Larry Koskoviak and company were able to rally. And the Cats of Arizona keeping their nation-leading home-winning streak alive in Tucson. It's all coming up on the State Farm Halftime Report with Katie Boggs. A look at Josh Fortune, who has joined the scoring lead with 9 points.
Now, the one thing that's hurting Portland right now is turnovers. They've got 13 turnovers. Other than that, they're playing a nice ball game, and had it not been for turnovers, be right there. Even so, they're only down 6.
Small lineup here for CU with really 4 guards around Tory Miller. George King, back iron, pulled down by Jazz Johnson. Wintering goes quickly, back to Jazz. Up fake, trying to get around Fortune. That was pretty.
That really was. Fortune did a nice job of staying away from contact and going straight up with his arms. Acrobatic shot.
Talton takes the on ball from Miller. Bodies the defender, finds King. Splits 2, got to the rim, but before the shot, there's a foul on the floor. Now that'll be the 10th, make it 11th team foul, so it'll be 2 shots anyway.
See, Fortune stays away right there, jumps up, and with his size, hoped to dissuade him, but not to happen as Johnson had good body control and got it in. So Colorado getting to the basket, split right there with King. The contact caused the foul. And as you mentioned, 10th team foul, so we're in the bonus now. Everything's going to be 2. Seen a lot more foul shots as we move through this early season based on the emphasis on the rules.
Josh Scott returning for Miller.
You know, Portland's defense, JB, has basically disrupted Colorado's offense in that they have not used Josh Scott at the low post very much, and I think that's important for Colorado to play through Josh Scott.
He's only taken 2 shots. Both have been from the elbow or perimeter, and he has hit both. Yeah. So Colorado +5 with 2:20 to go, opening half. Taylor guarded by King. Hands off Wintering. Akizili defending. Alec Wintering, such a savvy guard from a mid-major conference. But Akizili wins this duel. Pulling up in transition, Josh Fortune. How about King? Got a hand on it and got the possession back to the Bucks.
Hard to block off a trail guy coming down hard to the basket. Nice looking shot there. Way up for King. Yeah, I think that's a good call. I mean, looks like he got the Portland player late off the fingertips. Coach Rev didn't like it, of course.
So you don't mind that mid-range pull-up in transition, knowing that there are rebounders crashing offensively?
Well, that's what you have to understand, that you're going to get a residual of that is the trail post going to the basket. But a lot depends on whether it can make it, JB, like anything you would do. If it's not a shot he can make, you don't take it. It's about as simple as that.
Trayshawn Fletcher.
Not very hard.
Trayshawn Fletcher can't miss tonight. 4 of 4 from the floor, and he's got a free throw to follow.
Nice slash, uses the left hand. The big fella can't get over and get a clean block on the thing, even though he's got the size, so there's contact.
Let's take a look at the Pac-12 preseason.
I'd be hard-pressed to pick a school above them that's going to fall below them. There is a differentiation in this league, I think, from the top group to the bottom group, although I still wouldn't count anybody out at this point in time. But Colorado's pretty strong. Very nice 7th-place pick team.
USC has a chance to start 3-0 tomorrow against New Mexico. Washington got an opening win in China over Texas out of the Big 12, then won big at home in their opener in Seattle last night.
I think that's what I'm talking about a little bit, is beating Texas in a neutral situation as the 11th-place pick team. That's pretty scary.
It was a great start, a great opening week for the Pac-12. 24 victories against just 4 cumulative losses. On the move, Tolton hits Akizili. Strong take by Thomas Akizili.
You know, you say that, and you're exactly right about early season results. So one thing that always seems to taint the Pac-12 is a Monmouth win over UCLA in Pauley Pavilion. There's always one that happens, it seems like.
That in overtime on Full Court Friday as Gabe Taylor continues to drill away from distance.
Nice little flare screen, he steps back. Colorado player goes over the top and can't get back defensively.
6 of 12 from behind the arc are the Pilots. Josh Scott is hit from that exact spot earlier in the contest.
Look at him come on the dribble with Josh Scott.
Tolton dips in. Akizili extra pass, Fortune down the lane and caught up in the air, but got the bailout whistle.
Ooh, wow. 3 players there. It's unfortunate that he gets a foul call if you're Portland, because there was 3 players right there. See, now that ball goes in, so they pass on the call, JB. I think that's a little bit of what the thinking is, that if it's not enough contact to disrupt the shot going down, that maybe we'll pass on some.
49.4 away from our State Farm halftime report. A reminder that Katie Boggs has basketball highlights from around the Pac-12, including top 25 Utah in action in Puerto Rico against Jim Larinaga in Miami, right?
Yeah, Jim Larinaga's done a wonderful job down there. Miami's always been a tough basketball situation. Jim's gone in there and done a wonderful job.
Not as tough as the football situation at the moment, if I may.
Yes. Yeah.
Full court pressure here from CU, inside a minute to go, and with a 7-point edge. Stolen away by Tolton. Xavier Tolton, a wicked crossover.
This half-court trap has caused Portland some problems. It's kind of a one-hand shovel bounce pass. It's just too slow getting there. Got to deliver the ball against that trap. Colorado's anticipating and getting steals.
8-second differential, shot in game clock. Here comes Bryce Presley. On ball from Russell. Good hedge there by Scott to give his defender time. Another steal for the Buffs. Fletcher running the floor.
Just got a little bit impatient, tried to get it there too quick. I think Fletcher needed to go down and get it. He was anxious to get the back.
In play, when it's live, only players can call timeouts. So whereas Mike Montgomery in his days at Maples or Haas Pavilion might have been able to influence the game with the well-called timeouts, no longer.
Yeah, the dead ball, live ball situation is what a lot of people will be confused with. When that ball goes through the basket before the offense is in a position to take it out, it is still dead. When he turns and faces, then it goes live. Coach can't call one then.
Final 7 seconds for Portland. Wintering. Out to Todd. Has to go now. Tough fall away from the elbow, and some momentum for Portland going into the break. 42-35. A thrilling first half. Portland shot it well, 54% from behind the line, and this one to cap it.
Yeah, and that was a really tough shot going left. He just got above, and boy, ball looked pure going in though, and it was clearly good. You see the ring around the backboard go off, indicating end of game.
We talk someone into becoming the sixth man, and if so, what are the selling points of being first off the bench?
Why do you think I'm sitting here? There are no selling points.
It is an award now, the sixth man of the year. I mean, it's an honorary position. It's an impactful one.
It's a team game, JB, and if you can find kids that would embrace their roles, it's really fun to coach.
Fortune back to Scott. Still plenty on that shot clock.
Look at the people gathered around Josh Scott when he puts it on the floor. He has not been much of a factor in this game as a result, and I think it has disrupted Colorado's offense.
Wintering takes the on ball. Moreno rolling. Presley driving from the wing.
Good defensive cutoff on the baseline right there by King. Kept his hands off and ran to the baseline.
Single digits on the timer. They try the on ball again. Scott switches on to Wintering and now back.
Ooh, nice play right there.
28-29 good seconds of defending by Colorado there, but Portland gets the bucket. They're within 2 possessions.
Off to a good start coming out of the half.
King curling, firing.
Confident.
Last touch by the Pilots. New shot clock for CU.
So if you watch this defensive cut right here, ball comes here. Look at, puts it on the floor. Boom, 1, 2, 3 players. 3 players come around, surround him right there. There's no way Josh Scott's coming out of there cleanly with the ball. It's really disrupting Colorado's offense.
Gordon shuffles his feet. Empty possession for Colorado.
Colorado's not getting great possessions right now. You know, they're a little discouraged with the shots they're getting. The offense is not, there's not a lot of flow in Colorado's offense right now, and I think they're a little discouraged with that.
Gabe Taylor with it here. Presley hiding behind the on ball.
They're getting Josh Scott a lot of on balls to try to create that help.
Gabe Taylor hits from the key.
Try his little mid-range game. Portland's got some throwback guys. Mid-range game, solid up and unders. We got a 3-point ball game.
A 4-point burst to start this second half. Fortune to King. Extra pass Collier.
That's what they needed right there, is that ball. Quick ball movement for the open shot off of help.
Collier 0 for 3 in the first half, so that's his first hit from the floor. Picks up Wintering here. Taylor against Gordon, one-on-one. Good help from Fortune. He digs it out. Running with King. Caught from behind, but keeps possession. And Scott cleans it up.
Yeah, that's where just blocking off the trail post rebounder has been a problem for Portland right now. Otherwise, in set offense, Portland's done a great job of getting to their man in the block off. Second and third time they've got a cleanup. That's a foul right there.
Yeah, Collier riding Wintering.
Wintering's quick. Coach Rev had remarked to how Wintering's a real valuable player for him to have, because you can't keep him from getting the ball back. You can't press him. You can beat a double team. They really like him. They think he's a key to the ball club.
Second team all-conference last season. Hit a couple of buzzer beaters. Threes to take down San Diego and Pacific at the horn. Here's Presley, who can really fill it up as well. Had a 30-point performance to begin the year. Off the bounce, tough shots. Deflected rebound comes out to Fortune.
No numbers right here, a 3-on-3.
Maybe an early post, though, with Scott.
Absolutely.
Great job by Fortune to set it up.
It's obviously easier to play 3-on-3 than 4-on-4, and easier yet than 5-on-5, because there's more space to operate. Nice little dump down right there to Scott, who uses both hands very well. In fact, probably prefers to use his left hand.
And Gabe Taylor's going to have to leave here for Portland with 3 fouls. And Josh Scott has a chance to cap it at the line.
Just as quick as that, it's back up to 11-point lead. Notice that Dominic Collier is back out of the game, and that Gazzini is back in.
Inadvertent contact there, no whistle, instead a tie-up. The arrow, actually they will not go to the arrow. Portland, I'm not sure which player called a timeout to save a possession, did not have to necessarily. UCLA season.
Your attendance at tonight's game is 7,783.
King leads his Buffs back onto the floor. And with a timeout, Todd and Portland will keep it. And Mike, a chance to revisit a rule change here in 2015 and 16.
Yeah, they're looking at the clock right here. For some reason, it was at 25 in the shot clock. And you wouldn't change the shot clock, but Portland actually gets 10 more seconds to get it across half court because they used the timeout. Now, had something else happened, it had been deflected out of bounds, you would not get another 10. You would still have, you'd still have to get it across.
It's a cumulative 10 count in the backcourt, and
Yes.
they use the shot clock to gauge that. So when the shot clock were to hit 20 per se, they had not taken the team timeout, but they did. Hartwich into the contest to Marshall at the elbow. Backing down Gordon. Marshall comes up empty.
Long arms of Gordon right there. Long arms of the law.
Akizili getting good burn here for Colorado. Scott jabs. Scott fires! J40. 5 for 5 from the floor.
4 of them from outside the paint area.
Wintering, so good with the ball. Marshall, no hesitation. A rebound for Fortune. He gets King on the move. Lost the handle, and it actually sprung him for a bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. Now you got a 15-point ball game just like that, and it has not been a 15-point ball game.
Good answer.
Just in time. Look at J.B. Long going to the slang term for playing time. Burn. Huh? Where'd you get that? Didn't teach you that at Notre Dame, did they?
As in J.B. Long never got any burn. To use it in a sentence.
That's good context.
Akizili, bottoms.
Answers the 3.
Buffs shoot it from pretty well tonight as well. They're 5 of 10. Wintering passes on the triple. He's got King on him. Chooses not to go off the dribble.
Can't take him. Thought he might.
Jarrell Marshall with 10 to shoot.
Marshall's not shy. Colorado's kids move their feet really well, taking away baseline drives.
How about the one-handed rebound from Scott?
The handle's tied up.
Tough post entry, but Gordon working hard for it.
Yeah.
And that'll send us to a break. 57-42. Portland got back within a possession. Leading into Thanksgiving week. The students will get a fall break. And we want to send our best to Xavier Johnson, who had the Achilles injury in mid to late part of the year. Potentially due back at the new year. That decision has yet to be made. He could also take the injury red shirt and come back for a final season next year. But saw him at the end of the CU bench and just wanted to wish him well.
Yeah, the Achilles tendon's a little bit rare. That's a tough one to come back from. But very, very outstanding athlete, good player. Probably smart to take the time to rehab and come back and have a great 5th senior year. Use that to get a quality degree. All the stuff you need to do.
Akizili hit his last. Good tip by Scott to keep it alive. Fortune, the short jumper. And Gordon on the offensive glass. One more thought on Johnson. If he does redshirt, he could form a really nice nucleus with Derek White, a player from UC Colorado Springs. They think that could be a dynamic tandem for them in 2016-17.
Well, as Coach Boyle said, for them, they need to play. Nice dish right there. They need to play with 3rd, 4th, and 5th year players here. And so that would be, they'd have 2 5th year guys and very talented. He thought perhaps they could have their most talented basketball team.
I like what Wesley Gordon has given the Buffs tonight. It seems like he's found himself, his niche a little bit in this his redshirt junior season.
Well, he's not just preoccupied with scoring, not that he ever was, but most kids, like to score the ball. He's done a little bit of everything. He boards the ball, he gets a shot blocked, he dishes right there. You need glue guys. And he's a veteran, he's been around, he's a glue guy. Here's that half-court trap coming out of free throws.
Bit tall for Wintering, but he's able to bring it down.
Good rotation out of it by Colorado, because there was good ball movement by Portland.
Livingston passes on a couple of corner threes, and there's Gordon not blocking the shot, but certainly altering it. Scott running the floor. And now the trail jumper. Well, he'd earned that shot, whether or not he made it.
Absolutely did. Nobody's going to complain about that.
This time, Livingston will pull. Off the Pilots and over to CU.
Ball just not going down quite as cleanly for Portland right now. Colorado getting to the glass, getting second shot opportunities, tipping it to themselves. As you mentioned just a second ago, keeping the ball alive and said shot block inside. Wesley Gordon is doing an awful lot. There's a trap for Portland.
Kicking it around, and Tyson takes over. A quick pull. Fortunate to get it back on the offensive rebound, Colin Russell. Tyson again, not shy. Not accurate either.
Might need to be a little bit shyer, not quite so bold. A little surprised that the traps have caused both teams as much problems as they have. Veteran teams with veteran guards.
Fortune passed on the first three to take a 2 with his foot on the line. Tyson pulls it out for Portland. To your point about struggling on the glass, speaking of the Pilots, they're minus 12 on the boards. They were minus 20 in a loss at Davis. That's going to be a point of concern for them.
Yeah, well, when they're double teaming like they are to protect themselves, particularly against Josh Scott, there's another block inside. Josh with long arms, lead pass ahead to Fletcher with the left hand. When you're double teaming like they are, JB, you're leaving people open like at the high post. And the high post is getting a free run to the basket. If he doesn't rebound, he's at least keeping it alive for his teammates. That's a problem. It's something that Portland's going to have to make a decision about.
Fletcher trying to jump it. He has not missed tonight. A perfect 5 for 5. And how about a nod to Josh Fortune for the work he's doing on the defensive glass.
Nice lead pass right there.
Fletcher off to Gordon, and he will be at the free throw line.
What you've seen when Colorado has been at his best is really unselfish basketball. Here the ball's put ahead. Scott can't handle it, dishes it back, and immediately the ball goes inside to Wesley Gordon. You always tell your guards, feed your big guys. They'll keep working for you if they get some touches. They're not going to block shots and rebound if they never get to touch the ball.
Buffs in the midst of a 20-3 run ever since Portland got to back within one possession early in the second half here. Yeah. That's a line change for Revino.
Coach Rev has seen enough. He's going to try a different group of guys. You know, you're down 20 now, and he needs to look at some different players. It's a different thought process now from the Portland Pilots. Finding some people that want to compete on the road, not going to get their head down, play good basketball.
Gordon misses both. Torrey Miller in for Colorado. Marshall misses the 3. It comes out to Akiazili. Fletcher, who's on a career-high 13-point night, able to save it.
Nice ball movement again. Try to move he didn't have.
Ray Moreno took it away. Jazz Johnson leads the transition for the Pilots. Marshall this time on the post entry, and there's Gordon. Xavier Talton eyes up.
Recognize you don't have a break. Nice kick back.
All the time in the world for Akiazili.
You actually have time to get set shots. You're not even having to create shots. Getting a little ragged out here right now, JB. It's just first guy with the ball. It's my turn. I think both coaches would like to see a little more continuity, a little more execution, try to work on their game. Portland's now dropped to his zone.
Elbow feed to Gordon. That's a good look opposite Talton.
It is a 1-1-3 zone of sorts.
Fletcher. Perfect. 6 for 6. A new career high 15 points. Trayshawn Fletcher.
Got a nice little mid-range touch with the floater right there coming out of the left hand.
Jazz Johnson fouled on the drive. Timeout us. 11:02 to go.
To do that, and instead he gives up the three-point play. Very nice dish. Wesley Johnson is doing a lot of really nice things here to help his team win. Not all going to show up in the scorebook, but the kind of guy you have to win games.
No field goals tonight for Gordon, but he does have 2 assists and 4 block shots to go along with 6 boards. 11 minutes for the Buffs to cover for a home opening win. Jazz Johnson to the free throw line. That's a nice hit. So a good execution for Portland, and they needed it out of the timeout.
Yeah, just a pick and pop, set up off of a screen and roll. And as they stopped the penetration, they threw back behind to the guy that popped.
Torrey Miller with Fletcher. Back to Dom Collier, 13 to shoot. Here's Xavier Tolson from the circle. Moreno pulls it down for the rebound. Johnson can really light it up, and you can see he's hunting for his shot. Maybe he's someone who can bring the Pilots back. Todd hands off his way. Talton defending. Comes up short.
Xavier Talton is a senior that lit us up in the conference tournament. He can really score the ball. Not getting a lot of run, just shows you the kind of depth that they have.
Dom Collier, a bit flat on the three. Miller, second chance, falling to the floor, and earns a trip to the line.
In the NBA, that almost might have been an offensive foul with that off arm. Not a great shot selection. No, I lied. Pretty clean. Didn't see a lot of contact. Big fella hitting the floor might have caused the official to blow the whistle. And he is a big fella.
Torrey Miller, who has ambitions of going pre-med here as a student at Colorado. Good looking free throw. That's his first of the season.
Pre-med in a school like Colorado is no joke. I know David Krabish, as we mentioned, who played for me at Cal, made it through that curriculum. But boy, he spent long hours.
1 out of 2 at the line. Gabe Taylor the rebound. Jazz Johnson on the move. An easy post feed. Moreno on the second chance. He's got it.
Colorado just lost a man down in there. Next set, kind of making a little move back here. There's plenty of time. Portland going to a little half-court trap here now. A change of defense.
Miller, high-low. George King able to elevate and hang while the defenders fell off.
Really what Portland's gone to is sort of a 1-1-3 with the guards up top. But anytime you go to the middle of the zone, the high post, that low post feeds the place to go. George King was right there for the finish, couldn't quite finish it, but nice dump off.
Aside from the pure assist statistic, just watching CU, it's not sticking anywhere. They're really moving it well.
They are now for sure. I think early on, Portland's defense had them a little off balance in terms of the trapping and how they were playing the pick and rolls. And so what they would normally have expected to get, they weren't getting, and they were having a little trouble adjusting. Right now, they've adjusted to the tempo, way more comfortable in their offense. My guess is Iowa State Auburn probably played them straight up, man, and they were able to run what they ran. Portland's going to try to disrupt with changing defenses, which is what you need to do.
George King has reached double figures in all 3 of Colorado's games. Buffs with a 67-49 lead and a steal for Scots. Numbers for Tolson. Collier trailing. Collects on the baseline. Out to King. Drives to the key. George King.
He does that really well where he's going to his left and he kind of hangs. Finds a way to get it in.
Marcus Tyson right wing.
Portland pretty much just going to pick and rolls right now, trying to play a little motion offense.
Gabe Taylor got around Scots.
Kind of a clever player Taylor is. Mid-range, uses both hands, does not play above the rim.
He's got 7 points for Portland. Miller on the post entry.
See, there's the double.
Nice lead. Josh Scott's fouled by Moreno. That'll be his 4th.
What's interesting about Scott, who is a center and one of the better scoring centers in the league, probably preseason pick for first team, he does not play above the rim. But he's got those long arms and he's very clever and uses both hands very well.
The Buffs saw a run of 3 straight NCAA tournament trips snapped in 2015, and I like this quote from Josh Scott, now a senior, about the pressure of making it back to the NCAAs this year. He said, It's not the pressure of making it back to the tournament, Mike, so much as not being the group that's looked at as the one that let Colorado's tradition slip. I thought that was an interesting way of casting this season.
Well, so much emphasis is placed on the NCAA, obviously, by everybody. That seems to be the measuring stick of whether you had a good year or not. Obviously, Colorado did not have a winning season, and that was pretty easy to figure. But his point is well taken. They were riding high, playing the NCAA tournament, and all of a sudden they're not there. And fame can be fleeting. It's not easy.
Scott faces up just off the block, now backs down. Second defender arrives, he dribbles through it. King decided not to trigger the three, put a foul on DeMarcus Tyson instead. George King coming alive a little bit here in the second half. He's got 14 points. These final 7 minutes and 50 seconds, they have a 71-53 lead over Portland, in large part because of the perfect shooting night to this point by Fletcher and Scott.
And Scott started slow. He was not a focal point. Now all of a sudden you look up, he's got 13 points, although just 4 rebounds. But obviously Wesley Gordon's helped up in that area. Tayshaun Fletcher, one of the big three we talked about early, is having a career night so far, has not missed a shot, and has been very selective in the shots that he's taken.
Fletcher, King, and Fortune, that trio battling for time at the wing, and they've all played well here this evening.
Yes, they have. And I think they could probably go small at some point if they could pick one of those guys, maybe King, to play a 4-out around Scott inside. Probably pretty effective with that.
King adding to his total. He's done a lot of his damage at the free throw line tonight.
Again, the trap after a free throw with size. King up top. Don't trap the sideline pass and get back in man.
Tyson from distance. Scott swats at the rebound and was last to touch it. A new shot clock in the basketball for the Pilots.
A little bit surprising. Scott is not a dominant rebounder inside JB. He doesn't lift very well. He blocks off, got long arms, good hands, but
I remember the days where he would have the physical block out and Andre Robertson would go get it, you know?
That's right. As long as you have somebody that can do that. Robertson was a great rebounder.
A strong drive, but no result there for Gabe Taylor. Miller secures for Colorado. The hit ahead King, who stops at the line. Tolton pokes the rebound. Jackson goes to the floor. That's Rashad Jackson, a freshman from Bakersfield.
Good to see kids get on the floor, still compete for time. That's how you play the game. Value possessions. Jackson looking for more playing time out of Bakersfield. Show Coach Rev, I'll hustle for you.
Tolton got the personal foul there, and Thomas Akuzili, who's played good minutes as a freshman out of Belgium for Tad Boyle tonight. He's going to equal his season total of floor time here this evening. Jackson.
Oh,
the inside out dribble.
Right there. Nice big rebound by Torrey Miller.
Collier looking ahead. The early post entry. Good catch by Scott. Spins away from the help defender. Akuzili rotates. Tough catch inside for Miller between two defenders. Don Collier. And King
from the weak side,
rising for the putback.
Portland's rotation to get out of those doubles to find shooters. They are leaving the high post to perimeter open for
a board for Scott. Akuzili puts it down on the bounce. Miller, what a catch. Wintering 1v1 against Collier.
Yeah, I've got to call that. Very difficult to defend a player one-on-one in the open court like that. Shots taken, they're coming out of a double. Don't get the matchups. Here comes King from the weak side. What they're doing, Portland, is they're helping down, reaching from behind. As soon as the ball is put on the floor, they're bringing a second defender. So as soon as the offensive player at the low post makes a move, not on the catch, not on the pass, but as soon as he puts it down to make a move, they're bringing a second defender and rotating out of that. That's why they're getting those second shots.
Wholesale substitutions for both teams as Josh Fortune returns. Fortune has a double-double tonight with 13 points and 10 boards. Also has 6 assists. Career highs in the points and rebounding categories for the transfer from Providence. Fletcher probing, off to Scott.
Portland overplaying. Colorado back cutting through, little dribble handoffs. See if they double on it. There he is.
Never put it down that time. Got the jumper off. Fortune adding to his career high rebounding total.
Fortune, a pretty nice player. Transfer from Providence. Nice inside outside. Fletcher should have taken that.
Still 14 left to shoot for Akizili. Fletcher using the up fake to get inside.
Look at that touch.
From
That's a really nice floater, boy, from about 12.
Yeah. 12 to 16 feet. He's been really solid tonight. He's also hit the 3. Jarrell Marshall, an easy dunk at the other end.
Glenn will kick the can right here. Colorado not getting back on defense. You got to get defensive out. It's really early in the season. You're working on all the little things.
That's a nice inside out from Scott. Maybe his best pass from the double tonight.
I think Scott's anticipating a little bit better. We talked to Coach Boyle about that. I asked the question, and he said he's getting better, but we still have some work to do. He's anticipating that, and he's coming right outside. Inside-outside pass to the three-point shooter is the best pass in the game.
Do you think even the bigger Pac-12 programs like Cal and Arizona and maybe even Utah when Pirtle in the game, do you think those teams will even send 2 at Josh Scott?
No.
They'll play him straight up?
They will, and unless they're afraid of getting in foul trouble. A lot of it maybe is a result of the rule changes and what's happening.
Because you can have the armbar back on the post this year?
You can have the armbar, and I think Portland feels like that's the way they wanted to play with Scott, knowing Scott was a veteran player. But I think a lot of teams that feel like they can match up with him will allow him to do what he can do and take their chances. Scott doesn't play above the rim, but he is very clever inside, and he's proven to be a proven scorer. But if you look at the numbers from last year, they're not off the charts. They're not huge numbers.
His most recent miss was his first tonight after he connected on his first 5.
Coach Boyle saying, well, if you're going to miss, I'm taking you out.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it, Josh. No margin for error. 13 points, 5 boards for him. He's got some work to do if he's going to collect a double-double. But his next double-double will move him into the Colorado top 10. Maybe that'll be Sunday, his next game against Nebraska-Omaha.
And I'll be here.
And Air Force
Afternoon
Wednesday
game.
to follow as well.
And I'll be here.
Presley hands off Wintering. He has not shot it well from the floor. Gets rejected there by Trayshawn Fletcher, who is everywhere tonight.
Colorado's done a great job of coming from the weak side, and that really has been a trademark over the years of Tad Boyle's teams in Colorado. They force you to drive baseline and rotate from the weak side very strong. So you think you have something and you don't. It's something that's a little bit different, and it takes some getting used to.
Kenan Guzanic is back, the sophomore from Sarajevo. So he and Akizili, the 2 internationals, will play side by side.
More guys you can develop some depth early on, case of injury, case of foul trouble, just naturally improvement. Wow.
Good up fake from Johnson, came up short on the shot, and Fortune continues to hit the defensive boards.
It's been pretty impressive. He's bringing the ball up off the glass. He's like a guard, but rebounding the ball, scoring it.
Let's see what Guzanic has. A turnover for now. Jazz Johnson on the throw ahead. Jason Todd trapped himself under the rim, but a foul on Akizili.
Yeah, I think Guzanic should be learned from Scott that you can't dribble the ball in the paint because you're going to get it stolen from you. Fletcher stepping up and hitting them. And 17 points, career high, and a very nice left-handed floater to go along with that three-point shot.
Now, Mike Montgomery has expressed some consternation over the fact that he has not been offered a vote on some nights for our Barbasol Close Shave Player of the Game. So any objection to the Fletcher selection tonight, Mike?
The number of times that people have not asked me for my opinion have been too many to mention. But I'll go with that one.
That's why you got into broadcasting. You didn't have to be asked.
I got into broadcasting so I could have all the answers, JB. I never knew anything as a coach, obviously.
First Hall of Fame coach to not know a thing, huh? Numbers here for Colorado, and there is Fletcher, our Barbasol close shave player of the game. Akuzili guarded by Jackson. Fletcher hit 3 threes in the opening half to get his night sparked. 10 left to shoot.
Trying to get Guzinic worked in. I haven't seen much yet that would indicate to me that he's ready for prime time action, but that's what these early season games are for, is to try to get guys comfortable with it. He's a willing competitor, but just not quite in tune with what's going on out there. The calls.
And Torrey Miller right now the backup big for Colorado, and they're looking for another. Tyson a good take. Did not gather on the way up, however, and turns it over.
You know, as I mentioned to you earlier, as well as the three-headed monster with Fletcher, Fortune, and King, I wouldn't be surprised at some point that they wouldn't play small with 4 perimeter guys around Scott or Miller inside, or even around Gordon, because those have proven, at least in my mind from what I've seen, to be their better players in many respects.
You know, there's an NBA team, maybe you can help me with the name, who's gone to a small lineup and had some pretty good success this year. I'm not sure they've lost yet.
And boy, are they good, JB.
Reigning world champion Golden State Warriors. Fletcher finally missed, both he and Scott's. Jackson pulls up in transition over Fortune as well.
Looks like he's got offensive-minded player. Might trying to work himself into some playing time, although Rev has played a lot of players and he's got a lot of guys to make decisions about.
Is that a coaching euphemism for a player who pulls up in transition? For a
Who only shoots it when he touches it?
Offensive-minded. Josh Fortune has been offensive-minded, but we mean that in the best way. A very strong night. A double-double, 17 and 14. 6 assists, too.
Some of the Portland kids, you can kind of see the difference, the dichotomy, if you will, between the starting group and some of the kids off the bench. They're a little bit, maybe things balance out as times go on. The other thing is early season games, there's a lot of mismatches, so there's a lot more scoring.
The margin is 20 right now. Portland will go home to play Abilene Christian on Sunday, and as we've said, Colorado will be home to Nebraska Omaha next.
Well, I hope your sheet is long, because Colorado's brought some kids that aren't on my sheet, JB, into the game. Lombard, number
Walk
12.
On time, Mitch Lombard,
so.
a freshman from Castle Pines, Rock Canyon High School. Brett Brady is in as well. Guzinic, a good move, but no finish. Jazz Johnson the other way.
Boy, Wesley Gordon has been impressive with his length, waiting for the ball to be released and going up and getting it. And the thing about it is, JB, he's kept it alive. He's not swatting it into the 8th row trying to look like a hero. The old Bill Russell, block it and possess it.
Let's see you in rebounding, block shots, and field goal percentage a year ago. 7 blocks tonight, matches a career high, and he's done it largely as the second defender arriving.
He has, and that's where shot blocks typically come, is from the second defender. As a guy comes up and under or blows by his guy, it comes from the weak side. And I mentioned earlier, Colorado has always done a terrific job of that.
One more name for you, Josh Repine, who will be 33 in whites. A sophomore from Inglewood, Colorado. Joins the Colorado rotation. He teamed with Torrey Miller in high school at Northampton Prep in New Hampshire.
A little shot clock problem right here. Didn't reset, I don't think, coming down the floor. Officials doing their job. One might say with a 20-point lead with a minute 20, who cares? But that's the official's job. Give the players an opportunity.
Mike, when's the last time you can remember Portland using the 30-second shot clock in this second half?
No, they really haven't. They've shot it pretty quickly. They could have probably thought there was a right call and gotten the shot off. One guy we have not seen is Eli Stalzer, who's been around here as a senior that I remember playing against me.
10 to shoot. Jackson lets it go.
Jackson not shy.
Marshall, a new shot clock in the basketball. 1 minute to go. Colorado is going to stay perfect in home openers under Tad Boyle. They're looking for their 8th in a row overall. Marshall from the elbow. So some positive signs from Jarrell Marshall coming off an ankle injury. He's going to be an impact player for Eric Revenant.
Good, nice length. Coach Rev wants to play 4 out a lot. I think he can do that with Marshall at the 4. Give him another perimeter player. Everybody roots for the walk-ons to shoot the ball, of course, late. They're trying to play good team basketball.
Repine, a baseline drive. Guzinic, got it! Kenan Guzinic. He's described as a stretch 4 pick and pop guy. He hits his first 3.
That's what you get with European players. They are better outside shooters than they are back-to-basket shooters typically.
11.4 remaining. Well, the Buffs, who challenged themselves with road tests at Iowa State and again at Auburn, came away 1-1 with the split, and they come home and they get a Coors Event Center opening victory here against Portland.
There's always a lot to nitpick early on. I'm sure this is no exception for either coach, but you've got to be pleased to be able to get a nice 20-point win against a solid Portland team at home.